police saw a little girl getting raped and had the power to stop it, sat there and watched, and after the rapist was done, they took him to jail, would that be a moral or an immoral action by the police?
Immoral, obviously.
Okay, so why is it not immoral for God to do the exact same thing?
Okay, good question. Because if you have an opportunity to stop evil and you don't do it, in this situation, you're a police officer and you see something going on and you don't stop it, then you're criminally negligent, right? What about God? Well, since God can see the end from the beginning, he can see how sometimes allowing things to occur and let things run their course, he can actually bring good from. Now, we can't always see how God can bring good from these things, but God can. God can redeem it. If God were to stop every aspect of evil that anybody wanted to do, this would not be a moral world, would it? No, it wouldn't. It would be a trivial world. You know, I try and stab you and God stops me. Well, then I don't have the free will to stab you, do I? No. So it's an excellent question. And philosophical answer that I'm giving here isn't going to do anything for somebody that just experienced that, right? There's two answers to a question like this. One is the philosophical answer, and the other is the pastoral answer. I'm the philosopher. I'm not the pastor. I'm not the right one to answer a question like that in a comforting way because that's just not my makeup. What happened when Job went through all his difficulties? Well, a lot of his friends came and gave him lectures, right? Did that help? No, he didn't need a lecture. He just needed their presence. A friend of mine, a pastor you may know by the name of Rick Warren, lost his son to suicide. And a lot of people would come to him and they would say the most insensitive things because they just didn't know what to say, right? And he said, all I wanted were people's presence. If you know somebody who's experiencing a tragedy, you don't have to say anything. All you need to do is go there and be there with them. Some of Job's friends were like that. They just sat there with him, right? Others tried to give him lectures. So there's no philosophical argument that's going to satisfy that emotional need of somebody. However, it still is true that God can allow evil to occur and bring good from it. In fact, the ultimate evil that occurred was the evil done to the only truly innocent human being in the history of the world, and that was Jesus. He allowed his own son to be brutally murdered so he could bring a greater good. What's the greater good? That the rest of us who have done evil won't be punished for what we've done if we trust in what he's done for us.
Okay, but he wouldn't be omnibenevolent then.
No,
because he allowed evil.
He is omnibenevolent when he allows evil because he knows he can bring a greater good from it. Let me give you an example of this. This is an excellent question. Problem is with this kind of Q&A, we've got just a couple of minutes, so I can't go into all the details. We have a whole chapter in the book, Stealing from God, on this. But let me just tell you what happened in Michigan State about 10 years ago. I had an atheist during the presentation. I knew he was pretty adamantly an atheist. Why? Because he sat there through the entire 2-hour presentation like this. He didn't crack a smile once. And I had some pretty good jokes in there. Okay? Anyway, when the time came along, when I said, are there any questions? His hand shot up, the first hand that went up, and I just went, yes, sir. And he said, if there is a good God, why doesn't he stop all the evil in the world? I said, sir, that is an excellent question. Maybe because if he did, he might start with you and me, because we do evil every day. You ever notice that when we ask God to stop evil, we're always asking him to stop somebody else? We never say, stop me, God. Stop him, stop her. If God wanted to stop all the evil in the world, he could right now, but he'd take all our free will away, or he'd take us out. So God allows evil to occur because he can redeem it. Now, I don't have time to tell you the whole story at Michigan State, but this went on for like 15 minutes. And toward the end of it, there was a guy sitting about 10 feet from this atheist. And he raised his hand, and I pointed at him. I said, yes, sir. He said, God can bring evil from good, or can bring good from evil. And I said, why? And he said, I know of a woman who was raped, and the rape nearly destroyed her. She actually became pregnant as a result of this rape. His voice began to crack. And he said, but this woman decided that she was not going to punish the baby for the sin of the father. So she decided to bring this baby to term. By this time, he's crying in front of everybody. This baby grew up to be a man. And that man became a pastor. And he helped lead a lot of people to Christ. And he also helped disciple a lot of people in Christ. That man is me. Then he looked over at the atheist and he said, if my mom can bring good from evil, so can God.
So could he have done it without having your mom raped?
Well, again, if we're free creatures and he's going to stop us from raping other people every time, then we're not really free, are we?
So he couldn't.
Well, not and allow us to be free. No, because it's a contradiction to say that God is going to give us free will, but then stop us from exercising it.
Well, then he's not all powerful if he can't.
No, he can, but he doesn't.
But then he's not omnibenevolent.
Yes, he is, because he can bring good from evil.
But he would have created a universe in which evil didn't exist at all.
Okay, let me end on this, because that's a good question. Why didn't God create a universe where everybody just believed and nobody did evil? Is that logically possible?
For God,
yes, it's logically possible, but it's probably not actually achievable. Why? Because even God can't do a contradictory thing. He can't create free creatures who are forced to follow him.
Okay.
Any world God creates is probably going to have people that disobey him if he creates a free universe. He can create a robot world, but then this wouldn't be a moral universe at all then, would it?